Of what are you thinking? The penitent is ordered to approach some lady whom he must address in the following manner. Madame, you seem quite lost in meditation. Pray do me the favor to tell me of what you are thinking. Here is ample scope afforded to the lady for the exercises of wit and drollery, for, of course, her thought will be made to bear hard on the poor penitent, to whom she may say, I was just thinking that some impertinent fellow would come and break in upon my meditations. Or, I was just thinking how uncommonly Midas's ears would become your countenance. I believe you resemble him in all particulars save one, which is that nothing you touch is turned to gold. I have got a fine castle in the air, of my own building. I want to send a message to my housekeeper, and was just waiting for a bird to be the carrier. I think myself lucky that fortune has sent me such a fine goose to be the bearer of my letter, etc., etc., etc. Let the ladies, however, remember that equal scope is afforded for commiserating the poor penitent, to whom they should sometimes address a kind word or a gentle thought, such as, I was just thinking what a worthy creature you are, and how I should like to have you for a husband. The mute. This is a ludicrous penance. The person redeems his forfeit by performing, without speaking, what some one of the party commands, who also signifies his order only by dumb signs. If the master and slave are clever, many droll things may be accomplished. If the mute fails to execute the thing enjoined, he must pay a fresh forfeit, and proceed until something is accurately performed. A word of advice. The penitent is ordered to give his advice to some lady, or a lady to a gentleman. As, however, the parties advised have the privilege of giving advice in return, they may say something droll or mortifying to the penitent. The comparison. The penitent is ordered to make a lady the subject of a comparison, from which she shall differ in some particular, although she resembles it in another. Examples. Miss Jemima, your cheek resembles a rose in the beauty of its tint, but differs from it in this particular. The color of the rose fades in a day, whereas the blossom of your cheek lasts many years. Edward, in stateliness you resemble an oak, but you differ from it in not being sound at heart. I resemble the ivy. I cling with affectionate fondness to the plant I love, unchanged till death. I differ from it thus. When its branch is thrown into the fire, it crackles, fumes, and makes a great noise, while I, by my flame, am consumed in silence. Sometimes the penitent is ordered to give an emblem, which equally affords room for satire and compliment. Lucinda, I have discovered an emblem for you. The next carriage I present to you shall have a salamander painted on its panels. Why so? Because you live quietly in the midst of a fire which burns all who venture to approach you. Thank you, good sir, I have an emblem for you. A drum, which is, like you, an empty, noisy thing, fit only to be well beaten. There is in French a singularly elegant one, that of a pin, which it is not easy to paraphrase in English. A pin is the emblem of Laura. She inflicts a wound while she attaches me. Elle pique, mais elle s'attache. Confession. The penitent is made to nominate a confessor, who questions him aloud. He must endeavor to give such responses as will elude the skill of the father, who must endeavor to expose him to ridicule. Gentlemen confess to the ladies, and the latter to gentlemen. A lady may put the following questions. Are you amorous? How often have you been in love? What are the initials of the lady you adore? Will you describe your mistress? Are you of a jealous disposition? What is your opinion of your own deserts? Do you think any prudent woman ought to encourage your addresses? What are your principal perfections? What are your chief defects? Is there any one whom you love better than yourself? A female penitent may be thus interrogated. Are you the slave of love? What affords you the greatest happiness? What causes you the greatest pain? What are the qualities you would desire in a lover? What in a husband? What in a friend? What is the most frequent subject of your thoughts? What virtue do you prize the most? Are you of a fickle disposition? Do you think it any crime to jilt a man? Which would you rather have for your lover? A nobleman who is wealthy, or a wit who is poor, etc., etc. Courtship. A penitent of either sex may be ordered to make love to someone. If the lot falls to the lady, she must be supposed to avail herself of the leap year privilege. A woman of talent may render this penance extremely amusing. She may commence by assuring the gentleman that, notwithstanding she has been encouraged to demand his hand from his parents, she adopts the more delicate mode of first trying to recommend herself to his good graces. She may speak of her attainments and qualities, so as to excite much mirth, not forgetting a peculiar and ready flow of eloquence, which might be made extremely useful in scolding the maid, while her fortune may consist of a work-bag and a paper of needles with patent eyes, which, in working, never cut the thread, not even that of her discourse, etc., etc. The courtship of the cavaliers should consist of something concise and pithy, as, "Madam, I have long been keeping a sharp lookout for a suitable wife. As you hit my fancy, I should like to strike a bargain with you. I am quite a man of business. When I want an article, I just offer what I think it is worth, without being regulated by the market price. I calculate that you are worth just so much gold as it takes to make a wedding ring. If you will let me have you for that price, I'll come tomorrow and pay for you down on the nail. You consent? Well then, our bargain is made. In the meantime, I kiss your hand, by way of earnest money." Carte blanche. The penitent is obliged to address, in turns, each person of the company, or any certain number, which he may be ordered to approach by the crier of the forfeits, in the following manner. "I am a sheet of white paper. What do you propose writing on me?" The poor penitent will, in this way, soon have an opportunity of judging in what estimation he is held. It would be superfluous to remark how he is exposed to the wit and raillery of the ladies, or to give them any hints for plaguing a poor wretch whom fortune has thus cast at their feet. It cannot be necessary to teach a kitten to torment a mouse. The will. The penitent is ordered to make his will, while each person successively demands, "What? Do you mean to leave me?" Thus he hath ample room afforded him for censure or panegyric. Of the first he should be a miser, and of the latter prodigal. To a forward, impudent fellow like Dr. B. or Mr. J. W., he may say, "You have so little brass of your own, that I shall certainly leave you all mine." To an amiable woman he may say, "I have a rich booby of a nephew, who calculates on possessing my wealth as a matter of course, but not a gelder of my Dutch property shall go to gild the manger of his stables, seeing that he is no better than a golden ass himself already. To you alone will I leave all my gold, because I know you will live according to the golden rule." Harriet, what will you leave me? Penitent, you are certainly no silent watch when sitting by a sick friend's bed, yet I intend bequeathing you my gold repeater. Sir, when I hear your watch strike, I shall think of you repeatedly. A satirical lady. Harriet's in luck today. Her goose has laid a golden egg. But this sample must suffice, as our pencil only must be used in striking outlines. The parrot. The penitent is ordered to some individual, to several, or even to the whole party, which renders it most amusing. He addresses them, saying, "Here is pretty Poll. Pray teach her what to say." Much waggery may be played off thus. "Olivia's nose is like my beak. When Betsy walks, she turns her toes in, just like me. Dr. Tenez serves his patients as I do bones. He never lets them escape from his claws until he gives them a good picking. When Sergeant Quirk was washing his parchment hide in a pond, a thief ran away with all his clothes, so the poor lawyer was non-suited. It is impossible to decide who chatters the most, I or Miss Jemima. All right, appels. The conductor commands the penitent to get his colors and canvas ready for painting the portrait of Cupid's mother. The penitent asks if the Venus he desires is to be moral or physical. If the former, he must adopt some fair one for his mistress, and portray each feature of her mind in colors the most captivating. If the latter, he must select the best points of personal beauty from the aggregate of his fair associates, and combine them to afford a picture consonant to his ideas of perfection. There are many hackneyed modes of penance in general use, which it would be tedious here to mention, such as ordering the penitent to go to a mirror and say, "Peep, fool, peep, grin at your brother. Why should not one fool look at another?" Two good penances might be founded upon this idea, to be called Narcissus and the Soliloquy. Narcissus. The penitent must be sent to the glass to breathe forth a few rhapsodies of self-love and admiration. Who is equal to thee, Narcissus? In beauty matchless, in wit unrivalled, in constancy unparalleled. Oh, how my bosom labors to give utterance to the delight I feel while gazing on thy charms. I burn, and nourish in my breast a self-created, self-consuming flame. Thus is a haystack frequently destroyed by a fire arising simply from the fermentation of its own materials. The soliloquy. To be spoken before a looking-glass. How am I charmed to see you once more, my dear, dear friend. How well you look. Give me a kiss. I thought I should never be able to see you again. I have been so bored with a set of frumpy old maids and rusty-fusty bachelors playing forfeits, and the deuce knows what. Oh, how often have I wished them at the bottom of the Red Sea, for I wanted to come and have a bit of a talk with you, my worthiest, dearest, and most valued friend. Do you know what I am going to do for you? To procure you fame, distinction, influence, the richest, the most beautiful wife in all his Majesty's dominions. Good night, darling. Another kiss, dearest. God bless you. Good night, good night. We shall close this subject of forfeits by one of great antiquity, which, though common, is too good to be omitted. The candlestick. The penitent is ordered to lead out a lady into the middle of the room and present her with a light. He accordingly takes a candle off the table and, kneeling, executes the command. The penitent is then ordered to see if the candlestick is stamped with the hallmark. He gives the lady the candle to hold, and examines the candlestick. After he has done so, he is ordered to kiss the candlestick, which, of course, should be the lady's hand. If he is so dull as to kiss the candlestick instead, a laugh will be enjoyed at his expense, while the lady, curtsying, says, "Of a surety, my good cavalier, your gallantry beareth not Cupid's hallmark. The sooner you get your lips stamped, the better." "Then let it be by yours, if I am burnt in the hand for it. My Hymen's torch the next moment." To obviate the trouble and embarrassment which always occur when collecting forfeits, the following improved mode of levying such fines is recommended. Let a lady's bonnet be kept for the purpose of holding their deposits, and a gentleman's hat for those of the cavaliers. Whenever a forfeit is incurred, the party must simply furnish a small cord or slip of paper on which his or her name is written. Thus no possible mistakes can arise, and it will be no longer necessary for a fair hand to be stripped of all its rings, ears of their pendants, and necks of their collars, etc., while the poor cavaliers, after having surrendered their watches, snuff-boxes, pen-knives, and pencil-cases, are, like inveterate drunkards, reduced to the necessity of pawning even the very garments from their backs. Among the numerous games of forfeits designed to exercise the memory, there is that of passing round an article which receives at each time some new designation, made progressively difficult. One of the oldest specimens is that of the fat hen, which is played as follows. The party being seated in a circle, the conductor presents any small object, such as a key, a cord, etc., to his right-hand neighbor, whom he addresses thus, "Take this." The receiver must demand, "What's this?" and being told, he then passes it on until the circle is completed. The conductor then recommences, enumerating 2 articles, and so on up to 12. The good fat hen. Take this. What's this? A good fat hen. To avoid tautology, it will be better to put down the whole, commencing with 12, but in playing, number 1 is to be the first article. 12 apothecaries' scruples of the pericranium of Parnassus. 11 pyramidical tantrophinical tubes. 10 sympathetical, refathetical, categorical propositions. 9 sets of Macedonian horses. 8 cages of Heliogabalus's parakeets. 7 bottles of Monte Fiasco. 6 pair of Don Alfonso's tweezers. 500 Limerick oysters. 4 plump partridges. 3 squeaking wild geese. 2 ducks, and a good fat hen. This being very generally known, it became necessary to invent others. Those which follow were written to furnish some variety, and rhyme has been adopted because more easily recollected. If the party is numerous, it would occupy too much time to proceed as far as the full number, in which case 8 or 6 rounds will suffice. 12 Cochin China elephants with castles on their backs. 11 Leicester lasses walking minuets in sacks. 10 Palmyrene physicians, all with fizzes truly physical. 9 Caledonian constables, asthmatical and physical. 8 bald barbers making bobwigs of brass wire. 7 she salamanders sleeping in the fire. 6 ready-made ruffians as good as bespoke. 5 bottles of London, particular smoke. 4 Wallachian wizened wizards. 3 Berkhamsted bullocks gizzards. 2 boys bolting lumps of dough, and the blessed Pope's great toe. Fabulous. 12 dragons who flew with Medea to Hades. 11 centaurs famed for carrying off ladies. 10 basilisks known to kill birds with their eyes. 9 lamias who make men and cattle their prize. 8 vampires who marry their bride's blood to swig. 7 ogres who'd rather eat woman than pig. 6 sirens whose songs men to hear should not wish. 5 beautiful mermaids, half woman, half fish. 4 krakels like islands which float in the main. 3 harpies whose clutches are never clutched in vain. 2 bulls with brass hooves, Jason trained to the yoke, and the Sphinx whose thick head was by Oedipus broke. Eating. 12 greedy city aldermen who took by way of snack. 11 maiden rays who came from Berwick in a smack. 10 mutton pies containing each the tail of a Cape sheep. 9 gurnets, soused the way Jack Falstaff ate them in East Cheap. 8 dromedaries, fried in paper à la maintenant. 7 potted alligators brought from Egypt by Denon. 6 roasted ostrich pullets, all with horseshoes in their beaks. 5 porcupines in compote, stuffed with pepper, musk, and leeks. 4 pounds of bow-wow sausages, together linked like fetter. 3 great cox's combs in a stew, Catchpole ne'er laid hands on better. 2 reindeer's tongues, whose burning thirst was often cooled in snow, and the man who walked in armor at my Lord Mayor's show. Drinking. 12 topers for a wager once, who drank up at the New Inn. 11 bumper glasses each of Chamberlain's blue ruin. 10 quarts of aquafortis, mulled by means of a hot poker. 9 flasks of chili vinegar, by way of a provoker. 8 pints of Madame Grande Maison's superior noyau. 7 hogsheads of Madeira, cooled by 20 tons of snow. 6 jars of sal volatile to cure hysteric fits. 5 puncheons of old rum from a plantation at St. Kitts. 4 hampers of metheglin, thick as mud for want of cooking. 3 bowls of Negro punch, composed of Day and Martin's blacking. 2 pails of milk Guy, Earl of Warwick, got from his dun cow, and a tub of wash prepared for feeding David's drunken sow. 12 aeronautic botanists who went in a balloon to hunt for cryptogamy on the mountains of the moon. 11 Polyphemuses on piebald mammoths riding, lashed with cobwebs to their saddles to prevent them from backsliding. 10 cloud-capped castles built by a young poet in the air, who wishes to exchange them for a house in Grosvenor Square. 9 old maids watching man-traps, though the world could ne'er discover that for 60 years and 10 they caught a single lover. 8 Catholic kings in holy alliance, who, just for a pious vagary, embroidered a white satin petticoat each as a gift for the Virgin Mary, 7 alchemists who found the way when working in a dark hole, banknotes to ashes to convert and diamonds into charcoal. 6 modish mantua makers, armed with chisel, saw, and hatchet, who cut a Lady Spencer out with fir bellows to match it. 5 prosy old quidnunces, with voices sonorous, who need not the aid of a gimlet to bore us. 4 Lilliputian lambs so small that, from the wolf to save 'em, the herd in his tobacco box a timely shelter gave 'em. 3 black cats never heard to purr, whose eyes seem red-hot coals, said to be witches in disguise, mousing for misers' souls. 2 scuttlefish, whose patience in ink can ne'er exhausted be, though all their time is occupied in dyeing the Black Sea. An exquisite bird too good for this world, as a riddle his name I require. His mother was death, his father the sun, and their offspring was born in the fire. 12 black steeds at tournaments often seen prancing, 11 white bears on the polar ice dancing, 10 ostriches skimming the sands with their wings, 9 goldsmiths employed to construct Saturn's rings, 8 cypresses sighing their loves in the vales, 7 roses who blush when they're kissed by the gales, 6 old English bulldogs who scorn to be slaves, 5 porpoises playing leapfrog with the waves, 4 blue bottles no corks can stop from meat blowing, 3 tailor birds, clothes for their customers sewing, 2 dolphins who bear Venus safe through the foam, and the wolf who gave suck to the founders of Rome.